Okay, so this is where we left off yesterday. And again, my goal is to try to finish this up sort of soon, and then hopefully get the notes for 1.6 done so that I can teach you 1.7 tomorrow, and then that would leave you all Friday to work. You know, if it doesn't happen, that's fine. It's not like this is the end of the world. I just was hoping to not put you behind or whatever. So theoretically, the ones that I'm gonna mark are supposed to be the ones that you already know. And this is why I'm saying theoretically. This is kind of the same thing as that one. So interval notation is kind of supposed to be the only thing that you wouldn't be familiar with. And, okay. What's going on? Well, we'll go with it. So I guess from my perspective, I don't necessarily have time to teach all of the things that are red starred, but I 100% can talk about them if you want to have questions on them. So as you guys are looking at all the different things with red stars, is there something you want me to talk about that you don't understand what you're looking at or don't remember? And I mean, it's hard for me to know.
Set builder notations.
Okay. So set builder notation, I wonder if this one kind of goes by teacher to teacher, if you've seen it or not too. Set builder notation is generally way more complicated, looks way more complicated than what it's actually doing. So to start off with, set builder notation is always going to have a brace on the outside to kind of say this is the set. And then the first thing written is always going to be which variable is being talked about. So like this one says the set of all x's such that. And the only thing that you actually pay attention to in set builder, the only thing that you actually pay attention to in set builder is this. And I'm assuming that you're going to generally write inequality notation all the time. This one, I wouldn't expect you to like come up with on your own. So set builder notation isn't super common to me. I generally will see inequality notation because these two things usually have the same info, but set builder, they just put an X first. I wouldn't worry about that one at all. The one that I circled looks hard and weird. Do you guys even know what that one says, the one that I've circled? Does that one just look too complicated?
None.
So this says the set of all x's such that x is going to be, that's equal, so x is going to be 2 times the n minus 1. And then this tells you that the n is a member of natural numbers. So that would mean that you're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in place of n. So the first answer would be 2 times 1 minus 1, so that would be 1. The second answer would be 2 times 2 minus 1, so that would be 3. And then what happens is you get all of the odd numbers. But this is just overly complicated. I don't get why they would write it that way normally. Yeah. So I'm not planning on giving you a question like that on a quiz or a test. You might see something like this in homework, but I'm not too worried about it. Okay. Has anybody seen interval notation before? So none of your teachers are really taught it then? All right, I'm okay with that. I can't remember if I put it on the next page or not. No, I didn't. So here's what I'm going to kind of do. is I'm just going to highlight. I personally have the easiest time picturing numbers as number lines. And I know everybody's different. So let's start with this one. So this is going to be all the numbers from 2 to 4. This one's all the numbers from 1 to 3. Okay? Interval notation is always going to have two numbers written. So I'll not use those same examples. Now the difference, so I'm going to ignore the symbols at first. The two numbers that are written in interval notation automatically mean that it's going to cover every number between them. So the advantage, disadvantage of interval notation is it can only do groups of numbers. So interval notation can't do individual numbers, right? So whatever two numbers are listed here, it's going to be every single one between them. Now, the beginning and end of interval notation can be brackets or parentheses. So a bracket would mean it's equal to that number. A parentheses would mean it's not equal to or it's next to. It's the same as filled in circle, open circle. So when I'm looking at -3 to 5, I can tell that this is going to start directly on -3, and it's going to end at 5, but just next to 5. Because the bracket would mean on it, parentheses next to it. So if I were to draw this as a number line, I would be at -3 to 5. This is going to mean filled in, like directly on it. This is going to mean next to it, or an open circle. So interval notation can only be groups of things. So these two right here that I circled first, you'll notice that this first example is two open circles. So that would mean that it's going to be every single number between 2 and 4, so that's why it's got 2, 4 listed. And then the open circles would mean it doesn't go on the numbers, it just goes next to them. So then it's going to have parentheses on both spots. Same with the one below it, except it's a 1 and 3, but both spots are filled in, which means it includes or is equal to 1 and 3. So we've got brackets. Now the next thing that starts to become kind of weird is when you have something going all the way. So like in this instance, it's every number less than 3. So it kind of goes forever. And interval notation works between two numbers. So in this case, because there's not an actual number, we just say that it goes all the way to the left. So we treat infinity like a number. So we would say it's between -infinity and 3. And anytime you have an infinity, it can't be equal to it. So an infinity would always have parentheses. And then like this one, it's between 2 and positive infinity. But it's equal to, -2. It's equal to it, so it has a bracket. Interval notation and to be honest, is going to be really easy once you're used to it. And it's usually a lot quicker to write answers than all the other forms. And that's kind of why they're gonna use interval notation for most of the classes from here on out. The only other thing is you might have more than one group of numbers. Like if you think of a number line, you might have two pieces of the number line, that's your answer. So then what you do is you just have two separate interval notation answers, and they usually use the word or they put a U. I can't remember which one your textbook does.
What is the use thing?
Or.
But like, is there like?
The union. So this is set notation. I want to say your Algebra 2 book uses the word or, and then if you take pre-calc, it's going to use the U symbol. So I'll probably switch back and forth just to get you used to it, but I don't care what you guys read. The word or is probably easiest for you, I'm sure. Okay, I don't know. Any questions on interval notation? So you guys can kind of see examples of it. Are you okay understanding why this one can't be written as interval notation? Okay, so interval notation has to be between two things. It's a group of numbers. This particular answer is just odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7. So you're not between anything. This is just individual numbers.
So it's just like a list?
Yeah, so interval notation can't do lists of numbers.
So it can only be two numbers?
A group between two things. Yep. I mean, that's the word interval, I guess. Interval would mean between two things. Do you guys have a preference for what you want to do next? Do you want me to go right to 1-6? Do you want to just try some problems first before we move on to 1-6?
Sure.
Can we try some problems?
We can. I put a bunch, but obviously we're not going to do all these. Why don't we just pick random ones, see how it goes. And you guys don't have to write the problem down. I would just practice the actual, see if you can do it. So let's do 3, 6, and 7. I don't know. Actually, let's do 5, 6, and 7 because those are fast. I don't care about this one. Sure. Sure. See if you can do those. Work with the person around you. I have zero problem with you guys helping each other out, working with each other. Can I pause the recording? How does this work?